What's good, everyone? OJ here, and welcome to another RPG Essence. Today we got a great show for you guys, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, let's break down this first story for today, and it's interesting to even talk about this because shoutouts to all my good friends across the interwebs, the guys that I speak with on the Spawncast and all that. There seems to be this whole Nintendo Switch sales slowing down type of thing. You know, there's problems with it's down from last year, or there's all sorts of stuff, and I don't understand why this is even that big of a thing. And honestly, I don't think the people even talking about it is like making it that big of a thing, but it's ballooned into something because there seems to be a dichotomy, an opposing force of you see the Switch sales still doing incredibly well, but then you also see that sometimes PS5 or you see that sometimes other systems might beat out the Nintendo Switch in some areas, not in every area, but in some areas. So that causes some people to feel a certain way. And of course, you have people that have been predicting, hey, well, the next Switch is coming every single year, 2020, 2021, 2022, now 2023. Now, this is the thing that I see a lot of people latching onto because they want a new Switch, because the games are coming out and it's not at 60 frames per second. You're not getting the highest resolution. You have frame rate problems. So now there are people that are trying to latch on with, well, if it's not selling well, therefore I'm going to get what I want. But that doesn't make sense. Otherwise, heck, the PS3 would have never launched in 2006 and would have launched like in 2009 or 2010 or something like that, since the PS2 was still selling extremely well. That's not having a big basis on terms of what Nintendo's doing. And I know that was a thing for the Nintendo Wii U, but the Nintendo Wii U was doomed from the beginning. Any successful system is going to have sales peak at some point, then dip a little bit as things go on. But that doesn't mean that there's going to be something right away. They're probably going to make sure, because of the Switch giving them such a cushion to make sure that they have sales and they're doing well, they're going to make sure that they launch the next system in a completely comfortable environment with a lot of software, with the marketing on point, with the right name, and getting everything right. So the Switch affords them that opportunity to do that. And as gamers, that's what we want. We don't want a half-baked launch. We don't want a half-baked system at launch. We want to make sure that everything is good. So I want them to take their time and launch it when the software is ready and when the system is ready. But that's beside the point, because people keep on bringing up the sales numbers and stuff like that, and I don't really get it. Nintendo Switch is still one of the best, if not the best selling system worldwide. And I don't really understand it because the Nintendo Switch is still selling incredible. Now, people will point to year-on-year sales, and that's fine. You can point to year-on-year sales, but Nintendo already told us year-on-year sales will be lower because of the chip shortage. And no matter what anybody says, this is something that we have to talk about. Nintendo is not lying about a chip shortage, because a semiconductor shortage was widely reported. That's literally affecting every single manufacturer out there of smart devices or video game consoles or iPhones or whatever the case is. This manufactured semiconductor shortage is getting better, but it's still something that's affecting every single system in their own way. Microsoft can't produce as much systems as they would want. Sony can't produce as much systems as they would want. And they all have to figure out how they're going to ship and do certain things. And once again, this isn't my opinion. This isn't a rumor. This is fact that Nintendo has stated to their own investors. And I want to make sure that I get this clear. Lying to investors is illegal. Like, you can't lie or make up stuff, especially with something this big that's cutting into your potential profits. You can't sit there and tell them, oh, well, there's a chip shortage, and make that up. The production simply isn't as fast as they would want it to be, so you're going to have a sales reduction. And Nintendo has stated this multiple times. As you can see here in these articles, The Verge, sales of Nintendo Switches dip as chip shortage continues to bite. That was August 3rd, 2022. Then if you go back to beginning of the year, on February 14, 2022, chip shortage eats into Nintendo Switch console profits. That was from Tweaktown. Shuntaro Furukawa also stated that as well. Now you also talk about gamers in Japan. Shoutouts to my man Genki, who showed multiple times that the Nintendo Switch was actually sold out at many stores. And if you look at the Famitsu sales, it's not like the Switch was selling 150,000 units every single week. So they were having shortages with sellouts, with selling around 50, 60, 70, 80K, 90K in that range. And for the holiday, they were stockpiling and getting ready for Pokemon, which Pokemon has boosted the system sales up quite a bit. The past 4 weeks in Japan since Pokemon launched, they've sold over 100K each week, sometimes even topping 150K, getting as high as to 170K, pretty much blowing out every other system, while Microsoft and Sony takes their stock of what they have and doesn't ship it to Japan. They ship it to the US to try to win the biggest market. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now at this point, because in Europe and also in the UK, in addition to in Japan, the Nintendo Switch blew away the PlayStation 5. In the biggest month of the year, November, December, the Switch is blowing away the PlayStation 5 in those regions, whereas Sony is really gearing up and getting everything right here in the US, because in the UK, Switch absolutely creamed the PlayStation 5. And there is absolutely no reason, especially at this point in the 6th year of the Switch and how the PS5 and how popular that system is, there's no reason for the Switch to be outselling it in the UK. The demand, they just can't meet it. They just can't produce enough systems to really get them out to Europe, in addition to Japan, and also the US with God of War Ragnarok. So they loaded up in the US and got blown out everywhere else. That's really what's kind of just going down here, guys. There really isn't anything more than that. The Switch is having a little bit of trouble when it comes to production. They're not making as many or selling as many as they would want, just like all of the different systems on the market. And the Switch is still selling incredibly well for its 6th year on the market. So that's really what it comes down to. Now, when it comes to the next Switch and what I think and all of that, I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, well, the Switch is going to be around for the next 3 years because it's selling so well, the next 2 years or whatever. I think that the next Switch, I think it's going to be a next-gen Switch, is going to launch within the next 18 months. So that encompasses next year and maybe even early the following year. So I think that Nintendo will reveal something with the next Switch in 2023 and probably launch it in early 2024. That is my opinion and belief. So it's not like I'm trying to hold back the next Switch or anything like that, or saying that we don't need it. They'll launch it when it's ready. It comes down to them. They have a cushion here with the Nintendo Switch. It's selling really well. They're making tons of money regardless of the sales. So I think that they will launch the next Switch when it's ready, when it's ready to go. And that's really what it comes down to. When the software's there, when the hardware's there, when everything can kind of come into place, and everything will be fine from there. So that's my opinion on the whole matter. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comment section below. I also want to know here, guys, while you're watching, hopefully you're enjoying it. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click the notification bell. But remember, we also have a giveaway that's going down right now on the channel. Follow me at PlayerEssence. I have a giveaway going up there. All the details will be on there. We're giving away a Nintendo Switch OLED and more prizes, Metroid Dread Special Edition, and all of that. We're very close to 100K. So if you guys could subscribe, that would really help out the channel. And you have a chance to win some really cool prizes, eShop credit, and so much more. All right, now moving on to another exciting thing that happened with the Nintendo Switch. We've got some announcements of 2 big Ys games. So we're going to first start off with the remasters. So we've got Ys Memoir, The Oath in the Felghana, announced for the Switch. And this is really incredible because they announced this game just for the Switch. It's not announced for the PlayStation at this point. So if they decided to have a budget for a remaster of one of the older Ys games, they decided to go with the Switch as the lead platform for that remaster. And that's something, to my knowledge, has never happened in the Ys series, in terms of the modern Ys series after they went with PlayStation and everything. Usually it's PlayStation first and then we get it later on the Switch, or it's going to launch on all of them at the same time when it comes to these classic Ys games. So this is a high definition remaster and it will be launching in spring 2023 in Japan. And of course it's an action RPG. It's got some really cool refined and classic modes, some redone artwork. It's got some classic stuff in terms of how things look and how it is just played out. It looks a lot better this was from the PlayStation Portable. So this was a PSP game. You also even have remastered sound as well. The sound quality is better, of course, with the graphics being better as well. There's 3 separate sound versions of it too, so that's also interesting. And you also have some high-speed mode features, beginner-friendly support. So this is going to be a game that pretty much anybody can go out there and pick up and play as a Ys game. And I like the fact that they're doing this. I think that this is something that is a really cool thing to bring to Nintendo Switch as a classic game. We've got Ys Origin, we've got some of the other classic Ys games, and those are great. So bringing this one over is something that people have wanted in the Ys franchise for quite some time. So I'm glad they were finally able to get it through. But man, only on Switch for right now. Maybe it'll come over to PlayStation later, but this was announced at a investor meeting. So the fact that they didn't announce it for PlayStation right away shows you that the Switch is the lead platform for this one. Now, once everything gets localized here in the US, I do think that it'll come out on PlayStation and maybe even PC, but we're gonna have to wait on that. But I think one of the bigger topics out of the whole week for RPG news on the Switch was that X Nordics was announced for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5, and it's going to be a simultaneous launch in Japan with all platforms. So this is the first time ever in the Ys history, modern history, that it's going to be a simultaneous launch, and the Switch version is going to be handled in-house when it comes to the Japanese version of the game. Now, when it gets localized here for the US, they're probably going to use Nippon Ichi software to help out with the Switch version, but I like the fact that this game brings back the color in Ys. Like before with Ys 9, I mean, I thought that it was a little bit too of the dark and all that type of stuff. I wasn't a fan of the combat stuff either when it comes down to it. I was a huge fan of Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana. I like Ys Origin. I think that those are great games. I'm a big fan of the Ys series, but I wasn't high on 9. But I think that 10 is looking really cool. I like the upgrades that they did to the battle system. You have like a cross battle system where you can control 2 separate people or have supporting attacks, and then one where you can actually have one just supporting you and then you just all out attack. Plus there's going to be ship battles as well and customization out on the seas. So this is a big step up for the Ys franchise, and I'm just super happy that they're finally kind of getting with the picture here and getting in with the Switch owners now, so that when the next Nintendo Switch comes out, it is a smooth transition from the Nintendo Switch to the next one, because it was a little bit rough at the beginning because Switch fans weren't really acquainted with the games and they were coming late. But get in on that Switch development now, get going now, so that when the next system comes out, and obviously it's going to hit the ground running in Japan because Japan loves their portables and loves their hybrids and everything, then you'll be able to go right away and won't have that years and years and years of gap where fans are like, hey, where's the Switch version? We need a Switch version. And Falcom's like, well, we're so used to PlayStation, right? So I think that now is the transition period, and they're doing a better job finally at this point. Now, we will have to probably wait for X Nordics for the West. It's probably going to be an early 2024 launch because we know that it's launching in the fall of 2023 in Japan, but it's still good to know that Ys is back and looking better than ever. So what are your thoughts on this, guys, when it comes to these 2 big Ys games coming out? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys, I want to talk about the Fire Emblem Engage Somniel trailer that recently came out. Now, this is your home base. Essentially, it's the Garrick Mart of the Fire Emblem Engage game, and it looks just like that in Three Houses, but so much better without some of the annoying things. I don't think there's the activity point counter. I don't think there's that. And plus you have other things that just enhance the experience, as if they took some of the best stuff from Three Houses and then also added in some other things. So there's a number of stuff that I want to talk about here. Probably the biggest feature though that they revealed, they have these little maps that you can construct yourself and kind of put together, and you can share them online and download your friends and other people's and then battle on them. So that's actually a pretty nice feature, little semi-online feature there. They also have amiibo support that unlocks some pretty cool stuff. So you'll be able to get the outfits of whatever Fire Emblem character that you unlock, and then you'll also get their music as well, the classic music with that. Plus you have all of the bonuses and benefits that you would see in the Fire Emblem games. I love the fact that they have a grinding room to where you can level up and grind in between missions. This was something that drove me nuts in Fire Emblem Three Houses. if you're playing on the hard difficulty or more, picking a skirmish like a side battle to level up actually uses up one of your activity points. Now, if you're playing on normal or easy or whatever, you can just grind those out. They don't use up your activity points, but on hard or above, they do. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I want to be able to grind up and level up in my RPGs, and Fire Emblem Engage gives you a way to level up with individual characters in mock battles that don't use up your activity points like they did in Fire Emblem Three Houses. So this is a very good thing. I like the mini games that they showed so far. They have fishing, they have activity training where you're doing push-ups, where you're doing squats and stuff. They have some cool mini games and like a Panzer Dragoon style mini game as well. So this is something that's very, very good. Plus the combat, the animations, everything that they've shown so far for the game just looks silky smooth and awesome. And I guess we can get into another controversy that ended up getting debunked here today, and that is the fact that people were trying to say that there is a gacha mechanic in the game, and they were going off of the Japanese trailer. And even just watching the Japanese trailer, it didn't look like that was the case. You saw your rings that were there, and it looked like you were able to like fuse some type of items or things that you get and then power up your regular rings. And once again, I don't speak Japanese at all, just very, very little that I learned from college, and I didn't really see that or hear that in that trailer, but people tried to push that on Twitter and everything. But now we have a confirmation that you get these ring fragments out there, and then you can fuse them, and then you can use them to level up your actual rings. So I'm not sure why people were trying to spread that online, but that's debunked. I guess we should always wait for the language that you can at least understand before we start saying that it does this or it does that. But either way, I think that it looks really good. I'm really, really looking forward to Fire Emblem Engage. The final previews also went up from IGN and GameSpot and many of the major websites out there, and they all say it goes back to the roots, but then also adds in stuff, and is also friendly for newcomers as well, outside of the fact that there is a bunch of old school Fire Emblem characters, but it does seem like they are going to be giving you bios and stuff that you can read through to hear about their adventures and what they did, which should help out. So this is awesome. And I think that what this is going to do is that for people who haven't played some of the older Fire Emblem games, like you might want to go out there and try them out, you know, and say, okay, I'll check out Awakening, or I'll check out some of these other games where these characters are from. And hopefully it bodes well if Nintendo decides to really put out some of those remakes that have been rumored so far to come out, like Fire Emblem 4 or Genealogy of the Holy War with Sigurd and his game. So that's going to help as well. So what are your thoughts on this, guys, when it comes to Fire Emblem Engage? I am super excited. January 20th can't come here soon enough. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic, Crisis Core. Final Fantasy VII is finally here. I've got it on the PlayStation 5, but I just got my Nintendo Switch copy. Haven't been able to play too much of the game, but it looks good. I think that the Nintendo Switch version is not bad at all. And there was people that were worried about the Switch version of the game because they read the specs and it's like, oh man, 720p. When you're also looking at 30 frames per second. Obviously, PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, PC versions are better at that 60 frames per second, some of them in 4K as well. So if you're looking for the highest quality, obviously that's going to be the place to go. I have a PS5 copy. I'm playing it on there. The Nintendo Switch version holds up very well in comparison to other ports that have came out, and I think that the Nintendo Switch version has, of course, the unique benefit of being able to be played anywhere. And the biggest thing with Crisis Core is that this game was built as a portable game. It was built to kind of get in, get out, quick skirmishes, quick missions, go through, level up quickly, have different stuff happen. Like, it's built as a portable game. So playing it on the Nintendo Switch OLED and even dealing with that 30 frames per second and that lower resolution is actually not too bad. It plays great. So if Switch is your only platform and you want to pick up Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, I think that it is a very good buy at this point. And it's not $60, it's $50. And if you wait a bit more, you'll probably be able to get it for $40 or $30, because sometimes these Square Enix games do drop a bit. So whether you pick it up now or you pick it up later, I think it is a great buy and it plays really well no matter what platform you're playing it on. I just want to make sure that you guys know that yes, there are differences when it comes to quality of course, with the PS5 version and the Switch version, but the Switch version is competent enough. Just picked up my physical copy. I got a chance to play just a tad bit, but yes, it holds up very well. And from the footage that I've seen online of other people playing the Switch version too, it also holds up, and the few reviews that are out there for the Switch version of the game also hold up too. So this is definitely good news, and I felt pretty confident about that because Square Enix's ports on the Nintendo Switch have been some of the best across the industry. Dragon Quest XI-S was one of the better, if not one of the best ports. You also look at Nier Automata as well, was a very good port. So a lot of these Japanese ports of these games do much better than some of these Western ports that come out. Things are turning out a lot better for some of these big RPGs coming out on the Nintendo Switch. So this is definitely good news for Switch owners out there. And of course, Crisis Core is a fantastic game. So what are your thoughts on everything that we discussed here with the show, with RPG Essence? What do you feel you think we can do a bit better? And of course, make sure you enter in for our giveaway. It's going to be a ton of fun. So let me know about everything in the comment section below. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching RPG Essence. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.